All right, welcome back to Two Song Podcast. This is Chris.
And this is Cam.
And this is a show where we try and sort every song ever into one of two categories, either a love song
Or fight song.
Yep, exactly right. And this is episode 123 of our show.
It sure is. And if you don't recognize that intro, it's from I Miss You by Blink-182's self-titled album from 2003.
Yeah.
So we're throwing it back for a bit.
I know, I was shocked thinking about it. This song's over 20 years old.
Yeah.
Because we're late in the year. I'm trying to remember exactly when it came out, but by the time we're recording, there's not many months left. So it's 20 years old, no matter how you slice it.
Wow.
Which is so wild. To me, this song is a classic already. Like, it is iconic. There's parts of it that are parodied often, but to me, that old adage about flattery and imitation, to me, you know this song, you know this second verse, and you know this chorus.
Oh, yeah.
And there's, like I said, parodies of it, there's t-shirts, there's merch of it, there's all kinds of stuff, there's memes about it. Yeah, but it's such a big song, and we're doing it because it's a big week for Blink-182 fans.
Yeah, it is.
And we were thinking, like, we've done some Blink songs already. I built this pool, episode 50, it was April Fool's Day. And then I chose All the Small Things for, I think, the song I Never Get Tired of, the song I Never Get Tired of.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, well, we've done their biggest song. And then I thought, no, I don't think that's right. I think I Miss You is their biggest song.
Wow. Yeah. I guess it could be kind of hard to say, but...
Yeah, it's tricky.
This has probably been in more stuff. Although, I don't know.
I know, there are a few big ones. There are maybe 3 or 4 ones that are just like, well, I would pick that one. But I feel like I remember this album from 2003 was their best-selling album, if I remember right. And then this was like the biggest hit off of it. That's how I was counting it. But I guess if we could look at straight up, numbers, they wouldn't lie data. But I think for a lot of people, Blink-182 is very 90s, even though they really didn't have their big break until the late 90s. But I think I Miss You is a song that, because it's TikTok sound and because it's so much internet meme culture, that is one that brings them, aside from always breaking up and getting back together, it brings them to the relevant here now.
Yeah.
But I like this intro. I've always been intrigued by this intro and just wondered why I liked it so much, and why, as a massive Blink-182 fan, like, why do I like I Miss You? And maybe it's because they were just in a totally different space. Like, from the very start of the song, the way the song was born was different than most of their songs, almost all their songs.
Yeah. And
then I think about the intro, there's a little hint of the hook in the intro.
Yeah.
Which is weird. You're just like, was the guy singing something right there? The first time you ever heard it?
Yeah, like really low in the mix.
Yeah.
And low.
And low, yeah, and it's just so weird to have a long intro. And it's the third song on the album, so it's kind of like you've had the giant opening track, the Let's All Be Honest, the filler second track. And some people go like, no, you should kill yourself. That's my favorite Blink-182 song. I'm sure there's somebody out there that would say that and be freaked out and obvious. I don't regard it as one of the best, but it's not a masterpiece. I think I Miss You is a masterpiece, so that's part of why we're doing it.
Yeah. Before we get super into the song, I was talking about recently how cool it is that this is their self-titled albums. A lot of bands will start with a self-titled to maybe like help get their name out there.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to me that they like evolved their sound through a few albums before they did a self-titled album.
Yeah.
And I think this album represents them probably best of all, so I think it was a good move on their part.
Yeah.
And I think it's my personal favorite.
Dang. It might be mine too. It's tricky. I don't know. There's some stuff that is like really concept album and really artsy that I think is a little distracting. But then again, if you take the album right before it as a whole, the unedited version, it is an absolute mess. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much stuff on it that's so distracting and not necessary from the great songs that are on it. You're like, you call, if you call Take Off Your Pants and Jacket your favorite Blink-182 album, are you on your way to or from rehab? Because there's so much stuff on that album that it's just like, oh dang, I love this band. What's going on?
Yeah.
Dang, but yeah, you know what? Maybe it's my favorite too, actually. Just because there's there is some stuff in it that's like, okay, here's an interlude, here's like a really special family heirloom, but the hit for hit, the songs are, dude, I don't know.
Yeah, there's 2 interludes. There's the Stockholm Syndrome and the Fallen interlude.
Yeah. So never mind. I think I do have to say Enema of the State after all that, but only by a little bit.
Yeah. Cool.
Well,
that's just one too many interludes for Chris.
Yeah, that's not real. There's so much stuff that we can say because we know this band and know this song, but some of it I think goes better with the lyrics than just to be a big dump up at the top.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Want to maybe hear this first verse?
Yeah, let's do it.
Wow. So cool.
I know. Mark's voice sounded so good on this album and in that verse in particular.
Yes, it did. Yeah, he had a habit for a long time of wanting to sing like other pop punk singers, and maybe even singers that he grew up listening to. I think it's a common thing. It's like when you're new in a band, you have one original and like 6 covers.
Yeah.
And so it stands to reason that he would want to sing a little higher, but he has a super low voice. If you listen to him talk, you're like, oh, that guy's got a deep voice.
Oh yeah.
And just a really smooth, like effortless voice. This is like maybe, TMI, like too much inside fandom, but one side of his mouth, I can't picture which now, like hangs lower than the other when he talks and sings. And I always just wonder, like, is that part of why his voice has that unique tone to it? It's so smooth and so pleasant, and it's just weird to think of some of the things they've sung about, some of the antics they've gotten up to, and then a guy can deliver this first verse of I Miss You, which I think is probably his best vocal performance, in anything Blink I've ever heard.
Yeah, I know. I imagine as he's getting older, his voice isn't as strong as it once was, and it's still great. But I find it's more affected, or it's more processed or something on later stuff. Probably to kind of compensate for that or something.
Yeah. Oh man.
And it certainly kind of always was, but it wasn't as obvious.
That's a good point. You're probably exactly right. But there's got to be stuff from early Blink-182 that he flat out can't sing now. There's stuff he shouldn't have been singing back then.
Yeah. That
he was just forcing, and yeah, you're right. I don't even know what that. Well, they have so many songs that'd be okay, but I'm trying to think like some of the early stuff, like Josie. How would a man his age sing that song? He shouldn't have been singing it again back then. I'm a vocal coach again on this episode. This is all nonsense, but I'm just saying you hear the strain, and then he talked about, I didn't really want to quit cigarettes. I gave up cigarettes because my instrument was wrecked. I ruined my voice making Dude Ranch. Wow. And couldn't sing and lost my voice. And someone was like, well, if you wrote songs in your register, that would help, and giving up cigarettes. And he was like, I'll try both. And the cigarettes, he did first, but
dang.
But yeah, to me, this song, the louder you play it, the better it sounds.
Yeah, I had it bordering on too loud while I showered, and man, to be able to feel the bass, it's really such a fun bass riff, and this is one of the songs where he's not just doing the same thing as the guitar. He's not just chugging along with power chords or something. And the way that he starts that riff on the bass, and then the guitar kind of cleans it up, and then it just kind of repeats and repeats. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, it is. I wonder if that's part of why this song is so good, because they a lot of times, like you said, their default is locked in. The two of them doing functionally the same thing, but but here it's like it plays to their strings. We've got like the one instrument and the other instrument answers, and then we've got the one vocalist and the other vocalist answers.
Yeah. Which
so cool.
Songs where they're both featured so equally vocally are just their best songs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I've always said that it's so much for your money. Mm-hmm. Like say you go see a band, they have one singer, like it's probably worth the price of admission, or say you buy an album or stream an album, which is I guess free if you listen to ads. Like you just gotta ask, like, that's good. That's the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
BASE. That's right. the bottom level. But to have the two singers in one song, that you streamed or that you downloaded or that you saw live, it's like, wow, I can't believe that. And it's so cool. I guess it just gives us as a listener, if you know the song, which you do, you've heard the song somewhere, but if you know that part's coming, to get ready for it, rather than being complete amateur, you can be like, you can anticipate the parts of the songs and changes in a really satisfying way.
Yeah. I know the bass kind of like slides around a good bit, and it sounds so good.
Yeah, it does. Oh, something about that. This was the first time on a Blink-182 song they use all acoustic instruments. Oh. I think a lot of people have talked about it's not like a new thing we're breaking here, but if you listen to it, I think you can tell it's actually, I don't know if I'll even ruin this for people, but the music video is a masterpiece. It's creepy and it has its effect on people. We're roughly our ages, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's very stylized.
Yes, but I don't think it's an upright bass. In fact, I'm pretty confident it's not an upright bass. I think it's an acoustic bass guitar, and then I think it's just a nice acoustic guitar versus the cool set dressings that they play in the music video.
Yeah.
But still, that's crazy for them. They were dirty, raw, nasty, loud, feedback punk guys that then were like, well, we're not really tough enough for punk. Let's change it. Let's tweak it a little.
Yeah.
And it, and drums for the most part are acoustic, but it's just so cool to. It just comes out of nowhere. I mean, think if you can't imagine the first time you heard this album, feeling this obvious, and then this song, so different.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of weird to think about them as different because they're all obviously Mark and Tom singing, Mark and or Tom, and but they did make quite a range of sounds on this album in particular.
Yeah, they did.
I think some people kind of write them off as just like whiny and like think they like have their sound figured out, but they did so much. I hope they're gonna keep doing cool stuff and experimenting and having fun.
Yeah, you're right, because after this album came out was their first hiatus, or not right after. It's not like the month it came out. Like they toured this and did a lot for a while, and then I think they had achieved such heights that at least one of them was kind of wondering, well, where do we go from here? What do we do from here? Something different. And so it's wild to be like, I remember their big hit songs from the 2000s, like when they got back together in 2009 and made an album that a lot of people said didn't even sound like them. So like they've done a ton of stuff, to your point, like they are capable of lots of different types of sounds.
Yeah.
Well, what about this first verse? I mean, again, kind of like the fun fact about it's all acoustic. There's a thing that everyone talks about this song, especially, well, both verses, but I think especially the first verse. And then again, it's not like a breaking story, but we're super fans, and we may as well talk about it because maybe some people didn't know it. Maybe they know this song, but they don't know everything about it.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know that I could get all the details right, but it is all inspired by Nightmare Before Christmas, and I think it was Travis's idea.
Yeah.
So he's obviously the most punk rock of all of them, and and also happens to love Tim Burton, I guess, or at least Nightmare Before Christmas, and I also have heard before that almost all Blink songs just start with Travis laying down the drums, and then Mark and Tom doing their thing, whether it's together in the same room or not. But maybe not every single one, but that's kind of their process, and it seemed to work. But Travis never really seemed like he had much say, and he was always really quiet in interviews. But I think he kind of insisted they have a song about Nightmare Before Christmas on this album.
Yeah, I think the version of the story I'd heard is very similar. It's just basically they kicked it to him. They were like, so anything, like that one wasn't done, and maybe none of the songs were written. And some songs for this album became like weird singles and compilation features that didn't make it on the album. So it's like, hey, Travis, do you have any cool ideas? And he was like, I'd love to see if you guys could write a song about The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's my favorite movie, or one of my favorite movies. And I think that'd be cool. And they challenged themselves to do it simultaneously, like go in separate rooms and write a verse. I would love to put a fly on the wall when they picked whose verse went first. Because to me, again, the memification of this song and all the impressions, good and bad, is part of why I love it. It's like the great, objectively great sound, then with the acquired taste after, as the payoff is such a neat juxtaposition. And again, the music starts with the low, smooth bass, and then the weird, erratic like guitar answer. So it's so cool that they wrote the verses, and who knows how much they tweaked them. I mean, like, did they have a tune? Like, was it just lyrics? Like, who knows? But I really I love both verses. It's so cool that it's simple, 2 verses. You don't have to like have all this weird structure, this part and that part.
Yeah.
But I will say, to Mark's credit, the first verse to me seems more references, like more touchstones to the original movie, like to The Nightmare Before Christmas. But then again, that's how artists are. It's like, how does your mind work? Are you more of a literary person, or are you more of a imagery person? And I could just see it being like, let me think about some things I like about the movie, and I'll try and filter them through the typical stuff we write songs about, being in love with a hot girl, but also being irreverent, but also being like a sad boy, and then the other half, the yang to the yin, or whatever metaphor you want to use. It's like, I'm seeing gothic stuff, I'm seeing emotions, like the second verse comes in with not really references to the original piece, just here's some things this movie like makes me think about. Some kind of themes I drew from it.
More of the vibe of the movie.
Thank you, the vibe. And it's way more abstract. But I don't know, but together it works. It's so awesome. Like, all right, the very first lyrics, other than the kind of quiet quote of the hook, but the very first full lyrics in the verse are "Hello there." And then, to me, when the second verse comes in, even though they're different, at least they kind of start with a similar thing. Like, it's to another person from the narrator, and one is a greeting, one's a question. So, I don't know, just, again, we're gushing, but we're super fans, and it's a great song, and it's an awesome time of the year to do this kind of song.
That's true. We're in spooky season.
Exactly. It's a very spooky movie. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't like Blink-182. So
and we're kind of having a hard time. I imagine Chris is too, thinking about much else right now, because as we're recording this, their first single with Tom back in the band is coming out like tomorrow, and it's not out yet. So we're doing we're still on Blink.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Well, kind of like the way this song winds up to, the part that really steals the moment. What about this next section? It's cool. There's room for a chorus. There's where a chorus could be, and all the shapes and all the sounds from the chorus except for the vocal. I always thought that was so weird.
Just instrumental chorus, I guess.
Yeah, like a karaoke track almost, or like a spot for a solo too.
Yeah.
But there isn't one.
I know, they're just like, they're not ready for the chorus yet. They haven't heard Tom's verse.
Yeah. Yeah, I really think so. So should we play that little like in between?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. I know, it's,
Wow.
I mean, the groove is there, you know, it's fun. It sounds good.
It does sound good. And we get the hook again.
I know, it's like
Right,
they're teasing it.
Yes. Very much so. Yeah, I always loved that guitar part that just climbs up. You know, it gets higher and higher and higher and a little bit more tension. And then the last interval is not the same as before. So say it went up a full note, no sharp or flat, a full note, a full note, a full note. The last one is just a little bit of a change of shape. Like it just sharpens it a little.
Ooh,
and it's
cool.
like, dang, you kind of leave the listener on edge a little bit. You're like, oh, I don't see, well, if it resolved, then, you know, but it's cool. And I also love, and I don't know how we will do this, like playing it, but the way everything gets out of the way for the second verse, everything, I mean, it's so crazy that, that someone was just really in touch with, like, this is how this is going to be perceived. This is, you know, like, what needs to happen, what needs to happen. We need that little, the hook to sneak in. We need that singer, and then we need like nothing. We need to get everybody ready.
Yeah, a good several seconds of nothing.
Yeah, like a good like palate cleanse, but not from something bad. Just that you can enjoy what's next.
Yeah.
To its fullest, and then it's so cool because it's like, well, we just got both parts, and then come the chorus. Then they also have both parts. They have two parts there to do too, which is so neat.
Yeah. I know, I would like to think, or to me it kind of seems like it must have been Tom to think that there needed to be that space there between Mark's verse and his verse, and he probably, you know, sharpened up and suspended the guitar, and then you just have a whole measure of Travis doing his thing, and you can so clearly hear it once you've heard the song pretty much, but we've heard it so many times, so I can so clearly hear that "Where Are You," and you almost want it to like come right before it does, you know, the measure before. So he's I think he really wanted to make us wait for it.
Yeah, I think so too. Dang, yeah. You're right, because in a more straightforward song, in a more like structured or driving song, or a song that was like, it needs to be this kind of format, no lulls, it would come in earlier. There wouldn't be that. Yeah, it's crazy because it's not a solo. It's not like a guest feature.
Yeah.
It's just, it's kind of like standard procedure, or just, you know, in some ways run of the mill for them, because they often will sing like this. Like one person will sing, the other will answer, or they'll do like some neat trade-off. But yeah, I don't know, just one of the many things that makes this song like so special and so different, and so just like, I don't know, easy to gravitate toward.
Yeah.
Like that's part of why everything we're talking about is part of why people are so obsessed with this next part.
Yeah. Yeah, and I threw myself off there because I was talking about you're ready for it to come, and there's so much of their promotion for them coming back was innuendo. So I made myself chuckle and kind of lost my train of thought there.
Dang, oops.
But yeah, you ready to hear verse 2?
Yeah, very much. Wow, cool.
Yeah.
That is it. Dang.
I know. His verse, Tom's verse always feels a little bit more like Sally's perspective. You know, her story's a little bit more scary and sad and tragic, and she's trapped and kind of looking for Jack, and so it's kind of cool to have Mark's, to think of it as like Mark's verse being from Jack, and Tom's being from Sally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I think so too, because the first time I heard this song before I picked up all the references, I thought it was a little bit like, the best thing I can think of is sacrilegious, but I didn't take it that far in my, like, I'm not gonna date myself, but in my young-ish brain, I wasn't like, this is sacrilege. But I just remember being like, an angel in a nightmare? No. And then the thing about Halloween on Christmas, I should have gotten it right away. You can't tell because I'm not wearing like purple and black like sleeves underneath my t-shirt, but I love this movie, you know, and I don't have tattoos on my neck of any kind, but I promise I love this movie. I'm a man without pierced ears, I'll assure you, but ever since I was a little kid, loved this movie.
Oh yeah.
It changed my life, not so much that I like am still that affected by it, but I want to watch it every holiday.
Yeah.
So I should have gotten that we'll have Halloween on Christmas. But the first time I heard it, I thought, oh no, because Christmas is awesome. You gotta have them separate. So yeah, I think you're exactly right to think that it's from Jack's perspective, because in Halloween Town, everything's backwards. So all of the creepy, gothic, disturbing, disease things are good things.
Yeah, and
so,
he is like of those things.
Yeah, he's like, it's funny because he's not an elected official. He's just like a big man in the community.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. He's like a celebrity, I guess.
Yeah.
But wouldn't, in that upside down kind of place, backwards place, parallel universe, an angel, which was more important, the nightmare, that's the setting, and this person is an angel in the nightmare? Or is it that the person's an angel in the nightmare at a place? I don't know. The whole thing about Halloween Town is they're struggling with their identity. Like,
yeah,
they're just, Jack is depressed that it's the same like scary stuff all the time, and everyone else is just like, has this feeling of, we gotta make next Halloween bigger than this Halloween, and this Halloween we did a great job making it bigger than last year. So they're like setting themselves up for failure. So it's weird to think of like little things that stick out in Halloween Town are like special. They're like, whoa, what a novelty. Anyway,
like an angel.
Yeah, like an angel. Yeah, that's like, I guess, kind of what I'm getting at. But you're right, because I think about Sally in The Nightmare Before Christmas a lot. I'm not really sure exactly, human trafficked by the professor.
Yeah.
Gosh, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like exists outside of time, so it's not. So you can kind of be like, well, this was like some kind of medieval, like horror world, but when they go to like Christmas world, it's so clearly, at least like the late 80s. It's hard to figure out exactly when it was, but
yeah,
or it really has no time setting. But she is stuck with this man that is a creep, and she despises him, detests him. But then Jack is not really the best for her. Like, there is the great scene where the hill uncurls and they have the moon behind them. In the graveyard, yeah, that part's iconic. But really, doesn't Sally try and get Jack not to like go forward with his plan? And he's just kind of like, please, with all due respect, shut up. I'm gonna hire some henchmen. We're gonna kidnap this person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a deal with Oogie Boogie, like all these things. So yeah, I used to just wonder why Tom picked these weird words. It was like your voice of treason, and also just say treason. Don't sing it so hard. But you could make the argument that if it is from Sally's perspective, it's kind of, that's another reference to Jack being like, you know better. You're the representative from Halloween Town. Why would you think this was okay? Yeah. But then again, it's kind of like if the song, because I feel like a song about The Nightmare Before Christmas would have been really campy for a band of this size. I know the movie is a cult classic, and a lot of people's favorite Halloween movie and stuff like that, but this is hopefully going to go over okay. But I would argue that Blink-182 is especially at this time, was bigger than The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mm.
So to me, it'd be campy to just write a straight up tribute piece to the movie without drawing in anything else.
Yeah.
And I think Tom's verse does an awesome job of being like, I'm incorporating stuff, but I'm telling my own story.
Yeah, here's some new ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And even though Mark's verse, specifically mentions Jack and Sally, at least it's a little subtle. It's not just like retelling the story or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. You're right. It is subtle, and retelling the story would be like, did we need this? There's music in the movie.
Yeah, that's great.
Do this. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. That's a good point. It is. Yeah, it's subtle, and there are little nods to it, but it's not. You said like it's not a full blown piece of fan fiction or anything.
Yeah.
Although, how about this? Because sometimes we'll get into music videos, sometimes we won't. But this one is old enough and from the era of music videos. If your video was a hit, you would almost ensure your song was a hit. And I remember seeing this music video all hours of the day, and just wondering why, and wondering how am I seeing this? It's like, because if you have to be at school in public school where we live, like 7:30. I'm watching this video before school.
Yeah.
Or I'm watching it when I get home from school. So this video is on right when I get home or right when I leave.
Yeah. And for like months and months, I think.
Yeah, for a long, long time. And I just think it's so neat, the style choices. I mean, because I'm trying to put this video, and I guess I shouldn't probably dwell on it too much, but I'm trying to put it in a context of this was pre-Mad Men. So kind of before men's suits and men's fashion had gone to a more retro and period piece inspired fit, like, like there were people in office buildings all over this country the day this music video came out wearing big, unflattering, boxy dress pants and suit jackets, but the guys from Blink in this video are wearing Mark's wearing a 3-button. And they're just wearing like old timey looking stuff. It's a very gothic 50s, 60s kind of aesthetic. They have an upright bass. Tom's playing a black Epiphone Sheraton that you never ever see him with again. Travis has suspenders on, and he has some deconstructed, like simple drum kit. And I just remember being like, whoa, this is like the coolest video. Like, there's nothing else like this. They had not done another music video like this. And it was so dimly lit, and there's lots of dissolves and graphic matches. It'll be a severe woman's face, hairless cat face, Tom DeLonge's face. It'll be like something angular and prickly, and then Travis in a profile with his mohawk. It's just like a lot of cool, like creepy stuff. Kind of like akin to The Nightmare Before Christmas. But thank God the video's not claymation or anything like that. Because then it'd be like, guys, move on. You can't, like, the song and the video, like, it's too much. And I also want to say to everyone who, like, all the people on TikTok and all the young guys, like Harry Styles or whoever, they're like, oh, this is just nail polish. Don't even worry about it. Like, enough. It's not subversive anymore. The guys from Blink did it 20 plus years ago. Like Mark Hoppus has black nail polish on, playing upright bass, so you're not gonna miss it. Like a lot of guitar players and like artists have, painted their nails, but they sing to a microphone up at their, like, in their face, but then Mark Hoppus is playing an upright bass, also in his own face, like right beside his face.
Yeah.
So I just remember seeing that and being like, oh, that's weird, I don't like that. But then so many people have done it to be cool, and I'm just like, when does it stop?
I think so many people have like copied a lot from this video and this aesthetic since it came out, and tried to be cool.
Yeah.
And like I think Panic at the Disco, like every music video they ever made was like trying to be what this was.
See, I'm glad you said that. I've thought that, but I've forgotten it. Like I remember the first time I saw their very first big hit, I remember being like, this guy looks just like those two women that kiss in the Blink-182 music video. Like, I'm not gonna go so far to say he looks like Mark or Tom. He looks like just the extras, just the because like the makeup was so heavy and the hair. I was just like, dude, you did this on purpose. But yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of people were like, oh man. I think this album affected people, and I think this music video affected people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're long, extended shots of people, rubbing their tongues together, and you're just like, what has this got to do with The Nightmare Before Christmas or this song?
Yeah.
And there's women just kind of laying on stairs in really nice dresses, just very languid, and then one will pick her arm up and gently put it on another woman's leg, and it's like, I have to leave for school in a little bit. Why is this on TV? But I mean, whatever. 2003, 2004 is just a different time. People are like, music videos. Every band has music videos. What's different about ours?
Yeah,
it's like women kissing, and that was before YouTube. You could search women kissing on YouTube. You have to just hope you see Blink-182 video.
Yeah.
It's so wild. It's a weird time.
Yeah, seriously. Man, I had it's been several years at least since I've seen that music video, and
oh man,
you've described it very well, and like I can picture all those shots. So it's coming back to me.
Thank you. I've watched it so many times, and not for the stuff that I was just joking about, I promise. But as a super fan of Blink-182, What's My Age Again, all the small things, feeling this, like think of how well lit it is, the colors, the style, the edits, and
the
then
absurd silliness.
Yeah, the camp, and they're in on the joke, and then to be like, oh, these dudes are theater dorks or something. They're acting. They play it straight, and then always I think was the next music video. It's like, oh, they're back. The boys are back. This song, I'm telling, like I was saying it again. There's nothing quite like it.
Yeah, no, yeah. I hope I can tap into something like this for the new album.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't seem like the single will be, but it'd be cool to see them get kind of weird and expressive.
Yeah, and not dogs eating dogs, because those were all acoustic instruments.
Yeah,
but that EP flopped. People were just like, oh.
I think Tom just today posted a clip from Dogs Eating Dogs, just on his Instagram. He's just like, yeah, I'm talking about Blink again. I'm in it. Do you guys know?
Oh wow.
And I love Dogs Eating Dogs, but I'm sure you did too. Yeah, it's not a big hit. And there were some really sad moments.
Yeah, you're right. Well, we've gone on and on. I think that verse, and we analyze it pretty well, but I also think it, in a lot of ways, speaks for itself, just because if people know one part of the song, they know that verse, the "Where are you?" and "I'm so sorry." And then
the voice inside my head.
Yep, yeah, and then I think the next thing, the second most popular part is that weird affectation, that weird specific pronunciation that is in the chorus.
Yeah, no, and it's such a meme, like you've been saying, but it's kind of hard to say my head and it sound normal, just the way that the Y and the H, and I just think it gets too much crap for it.
I think so too. I mean, well, yeah, let's hear it, and then I'll say what I was going to say. Dang. Yeah, you're exactly right. That those letters, I mean, in this case, the Y is acting kind of like a vowel. I almost said consonant.
Yeah, like an I.
Yeah, it's like an I. These letters don't really go together like that. They mesh.
Yeah,
you're
like
like
separate.
Oh, dang it! I wanted to. But people say that phrase, and people express their mind that way, and I feel like I always have.
Yeah, the voice inside my head,
or just in my head. I just, can't get it out of my head, or I can't, can't make it the way I make it sense in my head, stuff like that. And it's interesting the way he sings is not quite like anyone else. And then also, I think he leans into it. I don't think he tries. Like from the way I hear it, it's like he doesn't say head with an H. He says yed, which again is like what the t-shirts and the memes and stuff say.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's not the dumbest choice ever made in pop music.
Yeah.
Like, so what? It's a cool style thing. It fits his signature, like whiny voice, and the way he kind of pronounces stuff. Yeah. I mean, he's an eccentric dude. He's just a strange dude. Remember the video whenever he was doing an interview about this one, like an interview about UFOs really recently, maybe 6 years ago or something, and he couldn't stop blinking. Yeah. And he was like had one of his eyes closed, and he was filming the video in the sun. Like he just does stuff that people are like, dude, what? Is this a bit? Yeah, it's a bit. Are you okay? Are you, do you get how weird it's like looks, how it's perceived? But I mean, I think he nailed it here. I think that, yeah, it's almost like its own hook. It's not the hook, and it's not the title. The way that I Miss You is doubled and said in that like addictive little rhythm, that little catchy rhythm, is the hook. But this part is also like another hook.
Yeah, and I don't think he could have like guessed how memeified it would be. Memes weren't even as much a thing, if a thing at all, in 2003. But some people out there probably only heard this song because of it being a meme, or like seeing the t-shirt, or hearing somebody joke about it. And it's people talk about it way more than what the hook is.
That's true, they do. Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think he made a good call, and to try to like get the H for head in there might have kind of broken up the notes, or like thrown him off, or it definitely would have changed how it sounds.
That's smart. Yeah. Well, part of the problem, if we're calling it a problem, which we're saying the opposite, but say from a like classically trained like singer or music critic's point of view, part of the conundrum is that it's the same note, it's monotone. So say you weren't a strong vocalist and you cut it there, like you took a little breath, a little pause, you could do it. If you were a singer in a band, you could do it for sure, but it would be more difficult to have it be the exact same note if you took a little break in there.
Yeah, if you separated the letters.
Yeah, you could like play with the interval. You could like go down for head, or you could go way up. But he chose like to blur them together legato and also sing the same note.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Also, I think we're glossing over, and I think a lot of people do, because that part is so, it just like tricks your ears for a second. You have to like do a double listening take. You're like, did you say yed? But the idea attached to that lyric is an awesome idea. That is one of the sweetest things I've ever heard in a song. If I'm interpreting it right. Like, don't waste your time on me, meaning like, you have nothing to convince me of, you have nothing left to try and explain to me. Like, we're so close, I love you so much that you're like, my consciousness and your consciousness are blurred, like together. Like, I don't know. I definitely have other people's voices in my head whenever I'm like thinking of making a decision that I'm questioning, but it's not like all the time. And it's just cool to be like, yeah, I've lost my identity so much, and I'm not upset about it.
Yeah, and you're the voice inside my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think kind of contributes to like the Jack and Sally dynamic. I mean, probably Mark, wrote this song about his wife, and Tom wrote it about his, or someone that he's very in love with, and it's cool that it kind of makes this song that's like a call and answer between them. I mean, their bromance is probably joked about more than any other straight guys, if you can call them that.
Yeah.
So it's really sweet to kind of think about them singing to each other, and there's a lot of fan theories about what songs might be written about the other member of the band or something. But
yeah, you're right.
it is very sweet.
Yeah. And shout out Mark Hoppus for being married to Skylene Hoppus forever.
Yeah, for real. They're so cute on
awesome.
Instagram and their family.
I mean, no shade to the other guys, but it's just like in that business, being one of the biggest bands in the world for as long as they were, even though obviously it can't last forever, but it's like that, not everybody does that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, no shade, but Travis Barker is now remarried, and he walks around. It's a good tie-in because he walks, every time I see him lately, he's in a 2-piece skeleton jumpsuit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. And he's all right. And Tom has gotten remarried, and I just think it's worth mentioning since we're talking about great songwriters and who the muse could be, who the inspiration could be.
Yeah.
That's so dang cool. That Mark's just like, you don't have to complicate this. What? We have a kid together. We were married a long, long time. What am I gonna do? Get remarried? What a bad idea. You know? It's just so cool to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is also fun to think about like how close, especially the public persona was that the two lead singers and not the drummer were so close, like inseparable, like best buds, and maybe they were then. It's neat to me to draw parallels between Travis Barker almost burned to death in a plane crash, which obviously is horrific, and we're so thankful that he survived, and that was supposedly the catalyst for them get back together in 2009.
Yeah.
And then seems like a similar thing happened with this reunion.
Yeah, because Mark has very recently beaten cancer. I think you could say he's in remission or something like that, or maybe that, I don't know if there's a timeline for that, but
yeah.
In a Instagram post reference addressed to Matt, who filled in Blink for Tom. Tom said as much, that like Mark having cancer kind of put things into perspective, and apparently made him want to come back to Blink.
Dang. Wow. That's like so bittersweet. I just don't. As much as I love Blink-182, I'm glad Tom is back. I wish Mark Hoppus had never had cancer.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want Blink that bad, you know?
No, he shouldn't have. People shouldn't have to like not know if they're gonna make it for
Tom to come back. Are we calling out Tom DeLonge? Yeah, you got to get help. We've said that before. I don't remember when, but I remember saying that.
About Tom.
About Tom, yeah. I don't know, but I mean, I guess it was meant to be.
Yeah.
I mean, this trio is legendary for a lot of things. Most of them good, almost all of them good, but some of them like, you know.
Yeah.
Fellas, wear your clothes. That was their thing. That was one of their many gimmicks.
Yeah.
But it's just cool to see them back together, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, same. And we love all three of them so much, considering we've never met them and just know their music and what they want us to see. But yeah, and we're very glad.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you said that, because I feel like I was thinking about this earlier today. Blink-182, to my perspective, to my eyes, is one of the last things that was mega popular that you could like without being lame. Like, they were one of the few things that missed the cutoff. It's like after them, somewhere after them. I don't know where exactly, but like, it was huge, and it's not lame if you say you like it, you know?
Yeah.
Because a lot of stuff, it's like, and some stuff, as quickly as it flares up, it's more like, oh no, don't like that. Like, let's pick some examples. Like Twilight came so quickly, and then it was like as soon as it reached its critical mass, people started like abandoning it. Twilight, no, it's out. Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, I'm just trying to think of things that are specifically after Blink-182's like initial good run. So it's just cool to be like, if you say you're a Blink fan, some people obviously are gonna be like, ugh, you know, but I think the consensus is like, yeah, Blink had the hits. Like Blink went on a run.
Yeah, what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
It was. And especially at the time, I think you were saying to be a fan of them, it was just like, oh yeah, they have that crazy music video and they run around naked all the time. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now that there would only be like a little bit of a eye roll because they're like old, they're like middle-aged guys. I hate that once you get a certain age, you kind of get written off.
You got to at some point though. They're probably all 40 years younger than the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even have the Rolling Stones stopped for their own sake.
Stop rolling.
Yeah. Stop rolling. Yeah, because it's like, guys, you can't just, you're old, you're elderly.
Yeah.
And I don't think the like performance level's still there. I mean, I've never seen the Rolling Stones live, but I'm just, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. The guys from Blink-182 have like almost grown children. Like I'm sure their children are probably late high school by now. So it's just wild to think. Well, like Eminem's daughter's in her 20s or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're borderline, you know? And I'll admit, the guys from Blink-182 are borderline. But they got time left. And also they don't have to do it at the same level that they once did. And their stuff, maybe part of why people criticize them when they do, is that it's not the most technically trying stuff. Except Travis, who is some kind of Buddhist Zen master drum machine. He's like a wind-up toy. He like doesn't talk, he doesn't move, he doesn't wear uncomfortable clothing, he doesn't go anywhere or do anything until it's time to drum. He like saves all his energy for drumming.
Yeah, no, it's a force. Yeah, that's the other thing I was gonna say. People might kind of roll their eyes because there are more technically proficient artists everywhere, you know. But you know, Blink kind of leans into it. Their Instagram bio now says "crappy punk rock since 1992."
Cool. That was one of their first T-shirts.
Cool.
That I've looked for many times on eBay. You can't find them.
That'd be cool if they do a remake.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Dang. Well, we have talked about tons of other stuff, but we have a little bit left, and it's kind of cool. It's like, just some easy listening music. Like there's like piano in this song. Like, dude, who like of the three guys? Raise your hand if you play piano. I think they had to get session players though. Travis can play like every instrument. Like functionally, he can play piano / keyboard / xylophone, which those are kind of the same thing. But I don't know. I think if I remember right, they did have a session player or like a producer, because you can hear in the piano part it's not, you know, it's not the most elegant part, but there's like some weird, just like musical passages, and they really like drive the hook home.
Yeah.
So wait, how much do we have left?
1:40.
Okay. Should we maybe, I don't know, hear like the part with all of the "Don't waste your time," you already, and then the hook, and there's like a little like outro, and we can play them like separate.
Cool. Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, there's like all kinds of stuff. Just like special, pulling out all the stops.
Yeah, lots of like kind of just sparkly, almost pretty embellishments.
The chimes, and a xylophone, or it's buried. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, or maybe a vibraphone, because like you said, it is sparkly and more than just, I don't know. Like to me, every time someone is really into those kinds of instruments that are just glockenspiels, but gigantified, I'm like, okay, you just kind of make sure it doesn't sound like a kid's toy.
Yeah.
And then this doesn't here, but it does have some kind of like shimmer to it, so I don't quite know. There's like parts later where it's like a string trio or string quartet. It's like, wait, we have strings on this song?
Yeah.
It is so crazy. Like some bands will get a wild hair to do that. Like I don't know, maybe when they get older or they get self-conscious of their younger, rowdy, juvenile kind of sound, they'll be like, all right, like Kings of Leon, be like, all right, let's, strings on a lot of songs, the Foo Fighters, or I beg my pardon, Foo Fighters, no, the Foo Fighters will go, let's do a whole album where it's like acoustic with string quartet stuff, and it's like, well, Blink just goes, let's dabble in it, we'll like dip a toe in.
Yeah.
Honestly, we got other fun stuff. Yeah, they were all over the place in this album in a great way.
Yeah, Sergio did like a whole album with this orchestration, basically.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, sometimes I think that he always planned on doing everything he's ever done.
Cool.
I think I heard that him and his wife had like his albums kind of planned out.
Oh man.
I don't know where I heard that from.
That's so cool. Wow. But yeah, I remember like being a little, I'll be honest, narrow-minded at the time I listened to this album and thinking, this song is so cool. Like, should I admit to myself that I like the way the song sounds at the end? Because I was a huge Blink-182 fan and they never did anything like this.
Yeah.
Like the closest, most like sentimental, like emo or almost emo, pre-emo song they'd ever done was Stay Together for the Kids.
Yeah.
And we've been like, whoa, dude, that's not fun. And then when I heard this song, I thought, dang, this is like my new favorite song.
Yeah. But should it be?
Yeah, that's right. Am I allowed to let it be?
Dang.
But yeah, it's so unlike anything they've ever done because they like lyrics, they like hooks, they like really catchy stuff. In this, they let each little section be featured with there's like no catchy stuff. You're just like, these guys are just like jamming.
Yeah.
But I'll say it's not the most fun song to play. It's kind of like clunky to get the rhythm right and to get the parts to really mesh like they're supposed to takes, I would think, a decent amount of rehearsal.
Yeah.
And so it's so interesting to be like, let's just like space it out. We'll circle back to the don't waste your time on me part a bunch of times. Interesting.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone cover this song. And it would be such a waste too, because you could probably get the parts down pretty easily. I mean, not everybody can play like Travis does, and I was obsessed with this beat for a while, and I tried to put it in everything I played at one point. But yeah, you were there. But there would be, you still couldn't capture like what they did with how they wrote it and then performed it.
I've seen a couple of covers of it, and you're right. Like, if you want to cover Travis Barker, this is a good place to start because everything else does is genius. He's like from another dimension. But yeah, it's a letdown. I mean, to me, covers of giant songs are letdowns anyways. Like, just some songs you're like, oh, this is too much song for you. This is very, very, very poorly advised or not advised at all.
Yeah.
Because every time the you know what is coming, you're like, what are you gonna do when you get to? What are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go when you get to that second verse?
Yeah.
Who do you think you are? There are some decent covers of it. I'm not hating, but it's just like, this is an odd one to try and be like, I think I got it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I just don't. The only way I would think to do it would be like to have. Okay, remember there was some YouTube band. I don't mean any disrespect, but they did tons of covers, and they had the actress Sarah Hyland come and sing a verse on that Chainsmokers song, another tie-in about Blink-182.
Oh yeah.
She like sings their part, the woman's part. It's like that would be a cool way to cover this song. Is if you had a band that people knew and it was like, yeah, we do covers, like one of those a cappella groups or something.
Yeah.
And it'd be neat to have like a celebrity come and do that we didn't know could sing. You're like, whoa, like I'm trying to think. Rob McElhenney. If Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny came and sang the second verse on a cover on YouTube, you'd be like, worth it.
Yeah.
The only
that sounds fun.
I would watch that. But I think otherwise, if you do a Blink-182 cover of this song, the big like shocker to have seen the second verse would be Tom DeLonge. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
If he was doing a cover and he let him do his own verse, that'd be so cool.
That's funny. I was thinking like as much as Rob, Michael Haney, and Ryan Reynolds have been hanging out, I was picturing them doing a duet for some reason.
That would be cool, yeah.
But Tom, of course, should be the only person to sing that verse.
Mm-hmm. Dang. Well, I think there's honestly not a ton of singing left.
Yeah.
It just kind of like dwindles down, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just some I misuse, and then like the interesting piano part I was talking about.
Yeah. Let's hear the rest.
That piano part is like a robotic version of the melody, or like a simplified version of the melody.
Yeah, which is interesting. Excuse me, because it also has a lot of like emotion in it. It's very like, maybe because it's like kind of referring to the melody, and it's a piano, so it has some like a bit of a sentimental element or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the fade out. You get the gradual someone turning down the knob, which is nice. And there's just like, as that's happening and you can kind of barely hear it anymore, it gets even like higher. It goes like up an octave or something. You get just like 3 really high notes that are really pretty.
Yeah, it's like a little tag of like an instrumental part we never heard before.
Yeah.
It just happens right there. Yeah, the piano part sounds like teaching someone who's young or not good at the piano, or both, the melody. And that to me is like kind of a sweet idea. I don't know why it's in there. I'm not mad that it's in there, but it just doesn't fit the rest of the song. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. Like, it's hard to imagine the song being mostly finished and everything else being in there, and then someone being like, there's just something else missing, and we have so many instruments, but we don't have it's a piano. Yeah, like, I don't know, but I think it works. It's something new to kind of mark the end of the song and kind of get through the outro.
Yeah. Well, this one, I mean, we could both go first and maybe say the same thing without rehearsing it. I think this one, honestly, this episode could have not taken long, or could have taken long.
Yeah.
Either way, because this song is so well known, and like we said at the beginning, it's 20 years old, which is crazy. Like, that's unbelievable. When I start to think about it, I go like, well, how? But it's a well-known song, and honestly, we might could have used it like as an example, as a template before. But without like taking that away from anybody, do you care who goes first? Do you want to go first? You want me to?
I don't have much preference. I think I went first last time.
You did.
So
okay. Well, I think honestly, I love thinking about the story behind this song and the way the song turned out, and thinking about the possibilities. Like, there's so much stuff in that movie. There's like really scary scenes and like flashing lights and just like a lot of stuff that you could have, to me, drawn on and made any kind of song.
Yeah.
So it's so neat to like the jokes I was making about people that never leave Hot Topic, like that just this movie is everything for them. This movie's their personality.
Right.
It's so cool to be almost those guys, like almost those sad boys, and be like, not the animation, not the music, not the weird idea of like Halloween and Christmas and the world's colliding. I like the love story from A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
So crazy, but cool. And again, who knows what the guys are going through at the time, but it's so cool to, in the first verse, say like Jack and Sally.
Yeah.
And almost like aspiring, in a way to be like that. Because at the end of the movie, it is a happy ending. And I know I was talking earlier about Jack isn't the best, whatever, boyfriend's husband, true love for Sally in the movie. But again, it has happy ending. Who knows what happens later in the story. So I just think it's so cool to set that up aspirationally. Like, I'm giving you these things that seem like, is that a compliment? But I mean them as compliments, and I would like to live like these characters that I love. You know how much I love that movie, that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
I wrote this song for you, and it's a good thing because you know how I feel about this film. So I like that it's slow and subdued for Blink-182 song. I like that it's all acoustic instruments, that there's a sappy piano part that's like picked out at the end. You know, it's not chorded, it's not, it's like one hand. It's like right hand, piano. And I like that for a Blink song, there are how many profane words? None.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever goes on in the music video, people with smeared lipstick before their scene even comes up, that's different than the song itself. The song exists kind of in a vacuum, at least the way we talk about them on the show, or try to. So I think for so many reasons, I mean, the guys from Blink are capable of writing love songs, and to me, this is their best love song.
Yeah. Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, they had kind of moved away from just like as fast and as loud as they could play, as we've kind of talked about in depth at this point. But we know that they can, and they chose not to. And like you said, they focused on the romantic parts of a very like silly and scary and flashy movie, and so much of the percentage of the song consists of just, like you said, one of the sweetest ideas that Tom sings of "You're the voice inside my head" and "I miss you," and just kind of going back and forth between that. It just has like such an impact on me, and I can't help but think about like people that I have a soft spot for, and you know, the person that I love or whatever. So it is very obviously, I think, a love song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. Yeah,
and a very good one, beautiful song.
Yeah. Cool. No surprise.
Yeah, and I think it just kind of makes it more impactful and more sweet that they're usually cutting up and running around and making jokes about male anatomy, and then they did this.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, thank y'all for indulging us. I hope you liked it, and I hope y'all are like us, excited about the future of Blink-182 and the new single and the new album and all that stuff.
Yeah, and a tour. A friend of mine and I agreed that if Tom came back, we would go see them. So.
Oh wow! So you got to.
Gotta try to figure that out. I've heard tickets are kind of tricky and expensive.
Dang.
But they'll be in Atlanta in July of 2023. So let's see if I can make it.
Wow! Cool. Nice.
But yeah, this was kind of a long one. So thanks if you hung in there, and I hope there's some people out there that are as excited as we are. I know there are, but you know, I hope they'll find us and that someone can appreciate us nerding out about a band that we've been into for, you know, well over 20 years.
Yeah, for real. Well, Cam, thank you, man.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Of course.
And we'll talk to y'all again next week.